Yep.
As long as she doesn't
We're live.
We're live. Hello, information superhighway and internet friends. My name is Darren Rose here with 98.7. Welcome to our web chat with Tegan and Sara.
Hi. Hi.
Thanks.
Hi.
Oh, my mic's not turned on. Do I need to turn on? My mic is on now?
No, it was on before, I think.
It's not about me, though,
there
so
it is.
regardless. Here's how this is going to work, guys. Tegan and Sara, we're going to hang out here for a bit. You can fire off questions to us at any time. We have some questions that have already come in, and we'll begin there. First of all, congratulations, the new album.
Yeah, it just came out.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
What did you guys do to celebrate the release?
I just sat there refreshing iTunes over and over and over again. I was like, Justin Bieber, get out of the way. Get out of the way. He's been hogging #1 all week.
He does that. That's his thing.
Yeah. No, I laid in bed until 2 and ate brownies, and then Sarah's been really sick, so
I spent a lot of it medicated.
Yeah, she's back at it though now, and we mainly just felt like relief. We finished the record 6 months ago, and this is the longest lead up to a record we've ever had.
Yeah.
And mainly we were just really excited to see what everybody would think, and it was kind of addictive. I just sat there all day reading people's responses to the record, and I'm just so happy and relieved that people love it.
Well, I have one question for myself. So, how does that feel? Reading people's comments. Is that?
I think that,
we don't do it very often.
No, but when the responses are good, when the comments are good, then it feels great. And when they're bad, there's a lot of self-soothing that happens.
But the negative comments don't wipe out all the positive comments, right?
No.
I don't think so. And we're very lucky. It seems we seem to attract a really lovely audience who, even when they're like, oh, it's taking me a while to get into it, or they find very constructive ways to say they like some of our old music better. But overwhelmingly, the response has been very positive, which is really exciting because for us, it's a very deep and heartbreaking, emotional record, but it's a lot more poppy sounding, and we're really glad people are embracing it.
Well, I know we got a lot of questions about the album too, but we are going to be calling you out, folks. So Ricky Connors 1 on Twitter asks Tegan, you said you would never live in America. Now you live in LA. Is this because she is a fool for love?
Well, Ricky, I'm not just saying this, but I live still in Canada part-time. My main residence is in Canada where my family is, and but I did part-time move to LA because of love. But I would not ever say that it was because I was a fool for love. It's just because I am really into love. I'm addicted to love. But I love LA. People are really hot and cold about LA sometimes, but when we landed back in LA last night, it was and I took my winter jacket off. I woke up this morning, the palm trees and the blue skies, and
you got to live here to love it.
You kind of do.
You can't really get that sense unless you actually live here. Visitors can't
They
comment.
see the worst parts, unfortunately, and they end up sitting in traffic. And every reason people don't like LA, I understand, but I don't even drive. I somehow exist here. I take the train and the bus. I'm like an anomaly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep it going. At Inuts Hilario. I'm terrible with names, so I'm assuming that's shame. I guess this question is to both Tegan and...
It's embarrassing to admit that you have one,
but you must have one.
I mean...
Daniel Craig.
Okay, everyone knows that Tegan is very into Daniel Craig. It's confusing for everyone. It's confusing.
He's so strong looking.
Yeah.
And pretty.
I don't know. I'm having a really... I'm like...
Rachel Weisz. That's Daniel's wife.
Okay.
I like her too.
Apparently Tegan...
Alicia Keys.
So into it. I mean, I like Alicia Keys too. Okay, fine. It took 3, but okay, Alicia Keys.
Rihanna?
Yeah. You know what I like?
All pop stars or what?
I think that I think that I'm really drawn when people are very really put together.
Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen is not my heartthrob anymore. No.
I just saw him play 3 hours. He's extremely handsome.
Yeah, but no, I'm not. You can sort of both admire and objectify and. They sort of
out of your reach.
Yeah, they're out of your reach. They're sort of
Bruce Springsteen's in your reach.
They sort of but I'm not. When I think of a heartthrob, I think of somebody that I want to, imagine in an objectification kind of romantic kind of way. And I don't know. I guess are you into men in their 60s now?
Breaking news live here.
Maybe I don't know.
It's driving me crazy. I'm picking someone who realistically would be my heartthrob. It's like when you're 8 years old, you're not going to pick Bruce Springsteen who's in his 60s. You pick Bruce Springsteen Tunnel of Love or
with that
you don't know me.
Hat in his back pocket and moving along, David Alvarez. This is a good question. You guys cuss in your banter, occasionally a little potty mouth. Why do you never curse in any of your songs?
I personally am not very I'm not very proud of my use of foul language, and I think that I've tried to pull back on it a little bit, and I think it's because as I become more adult and I hang around more adults, I realize like that you know, I've learned better ways to express myself or articulate how I'm feeling, and I think in a lot of ways I'm either using it to be comedic or to be or to express like really like anger or frustration, and I think in my songs there's more time and effort put into the lyrics than, you know, sort of like foul language is kind of off the cuff,
right?
You know? So it kind of makes the song kind of ugly a little bit, you know. I feel like the music doesn't need it.
Yeah. Michelle Fu, well, speaking of Bruce Springsteen, says, how do you feel about being someone's equivalent to what Bruce Springsteen was or is to you?
By the way, I am a huge... Bruce Springsteen is like my idol. Like, he's not my heartthrob, but he's my idol.
And how does that make you feel, that there's others that are watching that feel that way about you right now?
I think that it's something that we've grown comfortable with. I don't know that was necessarily our goal when we started making music, but I think that we make fun of it a little bit. That was sort of one of the reasons why we called the record Heartthrob, was it was sort of tongue-in-cheek. We were sort of making a joke about ourselves because we don't actually think of ourselves like that, but we've become accustomed to it. Like, it's very normal. There's like screaming and cheering, and you know, I know that people have posters of us up on their walls, and I think it's really sweet. I mean, I hope that we can represent something to someone out there, so that's good.
But there's a creepy line, right?
I don't want to publicly say that there's a creepy line, but I think
a bit of a gray area.
If I went over to someone's house and was having dinner at their house, and they were really awesome and smart and lovely and amazing, and then I went to the bathroom, and when I walked by their room, I'm a bit of a snoop, and I like looked in there and there was pictures of me on their wall, I probably would feel a little weirded out.
Keep that in mind when you have Tegan and Sara over for dinner.
The
Take the shrine in the bathroom for Tegan and Sara down. Sara, what's your favorite reality TV show? And this is from Haley Y.
It's hard for me to pick just one. I sort of missed reality TV when it started. I graduated from high school and I didn't have cable for like over 10 years. And just in the last little while I've gotten cable, and now I'm like catching up. So it's really hard for me to pick. Like, some of my favorites so far have been Teen Mom series, Jersey Shore. I really do like reality TV, and I think
I really love the new one, Catfish. That's
cool. Good. I watch a lot of TV on the road, like TV series and more higher brow sort of programming or whatever. But there's something like a throwback for me to my childhood, like having cable now and being able to just lay on the couch after like a rehearsal or something and just like just zone out and like surf the channels. Like, I hadn't done that since I was in my teens, and now I think that this is a phase. I think it's a phase, and I think I'm gonna grow out of it. But right now, it's like serotonin gets released into my system when like Teen Mom comes on. I'm like, like I just feel it. It's like a real bump.
Have you seen The Shaws of Sunset?
Yeah, that one is not. I'm not into the aggressive ones. Like,
there are a lot of all the Jersey, anything like ethnically profiled gets very aggressive.
Okay, I like Jersey Shore, but I don't know, that was my gateway drug into reality programming. So it's like, you know, that was my first. I don't know what to say, but I don't like any of the ones where people are intoxicated all the time and just yelling incoherently at each other. Like, that's just too similar to what we do for a living. So I need an escape, not more reality. I need escape from my reality TV, not more reality from my reality TV.
That's a lyric. Write that down. I'm glad it's on video. Okay, let's get back to the music. Is there any connection, and this comes from Caroline or @Havoc452, is there any connection between Heartthrob's Goodbye Goodbye and the unreleased live song Goodbye from 10 years ago?
Whoa.
We have a song called Goodbye?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. That's really far down the rabbit hole for us.
Was it your song?
I think so.
I mean, we couldn't remember that we even had that.
Obviously, the answer is no.
The answer is absolutely no, because I didn't even know that was true.
Goodbyes obviously come and go.
Yeah,
so.
goodbyes come and go.
We say goodbye a lot.
Yeah. Well, and this comes from Lisa @Heifer3. Was it difficult to write a love song that isn't from the "my soul is crushed" point of view?
Well, this was the challenge that Sara set out for me. This was what she asked me to do when we started writing Heartthrob, was to try. She was like, "You're not a self-deprecating, self-loathing, shoegazing, sad, broken human anymore."
Mm-hmm.
possibly you never were. Please try to do something unique and different on this record. So, and the other piece of advice that we've been given from someone else very significant to us was that possibly we should write about something we were afraid of, that there needs to be an edge to our music, or to put back that edge, that terror, that excitement that we used to feel in our music. And the thing that I had never written about that kind of scared me was love and romance. And so a lot of songs on the record, like Drove Me Wild and Closer and Love They Say, are my attempts at writing romantic love songs. I mean, there's still an edge to them and there's still a darkness to them, but it's very, for me, it was a very romantic, nostalgic time writing this record. And, it was kind of terrifying. And it was awkward, like when I sent Closer to Sara and she wrote back and she was like, it's like our version of like Let's Get It On or something, yeah. But I mean, for me, there was a dark side to the song because I'm obviously singing about something that did not happen. I wanted something to happen, but it didn't happen. So, but Sara was like, no, it's just let's make things physical. Like she was just like, she was selling the making out part, which is weird. Then you're like, here, Mom, then you can listen to it, and then. Now, first time I performed the song live, and I'm like...
Wait, how does Mom fit into that?
Like, when you pass on the songs to people, and you have to, like, every new level of people listening, you have to explain what that song is about, and it's, like, really awkward. And first time we played the song live, when I sang the line about wanting to get this person underneath me, everybody in the front row, like, hooted. Like, we're like, woo, woo, woo! And I was just like, I'm sure my face probably just turned, like, bright red, and it was very embarrassing, but I'm getting over it now, so...
But that's the cool thing about art and music especially, is that it's very interpretive. So it could be something that was, like you said, someone that you didn't get, that you wanted closer.
Sure.
But it could also very much be someone who is already closer to you.
Sure.
So, again, I think that's why it speaks to so many people.
I hope so.
Yeah, I like the idea that the lyrics or that certain songs are able to be really open-ended. The idea that it's specific to situations that happened in our lives is only important for a part of the song. If it can't translate to the audience in a broad sense, like there's no point. The songs if they don't resonate, then I don't think they're as important as the songs that do.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that Tegan has like a whole theory around Closer, but really it's just like does it resonate to you? Is it important to you in your life? Can you sort of like take the words or the sentiment and apply it to your life? Yes, good.
That's the definition of a good song.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially pop music too. It's like broad enough that it can appeal to like really a whole different group of people.
Absolutely. Tegan, I want to go back to something you said just a moment ago about in writing Closer. I think you were mentioning Closer, that someone that you respected, that someone that gave you maybe advice in the studio. Is that someone that you can name, or do you guys have a collection of people that you do throw out ideas to, throw out lyrics to, music to, that you encourage feedback from?
Sure. Well, I mean, when we start, initially, Sara and I use each other as sort of like the main, source of criticism and editing and suggestion and that sort of thing. But after that, we send it to friends and our managers. And in the case of a few of the songs that I ended up feeling really inspired to write, the conversation that I was talking about was that we'd been talking a lot with our record company about where we wanted to go next. It was our last record, and we sort of wanted to figure out what direction we wanted to go. And we had a conversation with Rob Cavallo, who's like a huge producer, the chairman at Warner, and he had this like 5-hour epic long conversation with Sara and I where he was like, what haven't you written about? Maybe we should write about each other. Maybe we should do this. Maybe we should do that. And then he was just like, sounds like you guys just need to write about something that makes you feel afraid and scared and like be brave, be bold, step outside your comfort zone. Like don't be afraid to just try something different. And it really inspired me. I really thought that it was, I think, maybe what I needed to hear. All right, I think I already knew that our audience would accept us for whatever we put out there, but I just think I needed to hear it from maybe some, like Sara and I always joke that we're afraid of authority, so to have some authority figures in our life reassure us that no matter what we did, they would support us, that made Sara and I feel like we could kind of do whatever we wanted.
That's awesome. What along those lines, is there a nugget of advice, and we will get back to the questions again here soon. I have my own.
We've gone rogue.
Yeah. I'm always curious to hear from artists what nugget of advice, or maybe it was something that happened, somebody told you something that's always stuck with you. Maybe it was a relative, but maybe it was a Bruce Springsteen type figure. Do you guys have anything like that?
I always think about Elliot Roberts, who signed us to our first record deal. He was Neil Young's manager, is still Neil Young's manager for decades. And I remember quite casually in conversation him telling us after he had signed us that that we wouldn't write our best material until we were in our 30s or like later in our career. And at the time that was significant because we were 19, and the idea of having to write a song, let alone many albums or decades of material, that seemed incredibly daunting. And I think when you're still just new at songwriting and new at being in a band or identifying as an artist or whatever, every song is a struggle, and there's this almost a sensation that you might just forget how, or that you might run out, like there's like a drought coming or something. So in periods of time in my life where I haven't felt like maybe able to write, or I didn't feel like I was writing very good material, or it wasn't coming easy to me, I think about what he said and how it gave me the freedom to sort of see myself as someone who would always write music, like through my whole life, and that what was going to be important and significant to me in my 30s and 40s might be more important and might resonate more deeply with people because I had more life experience and my skill set was better, and all that kind of stuff. So that was definitely advice to me, like almost in like a maternal, almost fatherly kind of way that I think I've gone back to often, to give myself comfort when I wasn't feeling very confident.
Tegan, same with you?
I'd say ditto.
Yeah, you were there part of this conversation.
I was part of that conversation, and
you think back on that as well?
I would agree. Yeah. I mean, we have lots of friends who are artists, and they struggle all the time with writer's block and worrying about where their career will go next. And I think Sarah and I have been lucky in that we have each other, but also that we did have this very strong foundation and really healthy start to our career, where it was like kind of like, go, have fun, live, experience life, don't worry about being famous or selling records, just go and actually have life experience, then you'll have something to write about.
And I think that's kind of the secret demon of every artist and performer, is that what if I don't ever come up with anything again?
Yeah,
what if I walk out on stage and everything falls apart and I forget how to do this?
Yeah, I think about that. I think about that every day. I really do. Like, I get out on stage almost every night and think, I don't know if I know how to do this. I think, I think most artists do, or I've heard people say that that's totally the opposite. Like every other part of their life is a disaster, and then they walk out on stage and they like have got it straight. Yeah. But I think we're very self-aware people, and there's like anxiety and nervousness, and then there's kind of just a shifting into neutral, or a shifting into something that happens where you just click in and everything starts to fall into place and it works. But I'm always thinking that the gear is not going to work, and I'm just going to get up on stage and be like, totally don't know how to do this anymore. I really apologize.
Right.
I could do some comedy if you want, or just return tickets now.
That's funny. Back to the questions from the masses here. From at Floatin' Vibes asks, Tegan, have you found inspiration since living in Los Angeles? It's a two-parter. Stand by. Does she do any writing when she's here?
I remember back when Sara and I started touring, which the first tour that we went on that came to America was in late 1999, so 500 years ago. And I remember when we came to LA, we were so intimidated, we were so overwhelmed. I kind of hated the city. I just was like, why do people live here? It's just traffic and noise and pollution, and I really disliked it. And I kind of disliked New York for the same reason. I felt overwhelmed, scared, intimidated, all that. And over the last decade plus, we've obviously made friends here. We've spent an enormous amount of time. We've made 2 records in the Los Angeles area, and I really started to like the city. So when I did get a place here part-time because of my foolish love addiction, I sort of prep myself to not like it, but just have to grin and bear it. And there's a secret club of Canadians that we all admit to this later on, that we actually really love Los Angeles. So when people from home or other places are like, oh, you live in Los Angeles, we're like, yeah, it's because of, and then we fill in the blank.
You have an explanation.
So, but I actually do feel very inspired here. I feel very calm because I don't drive. I'm kind of trapped in one of a few neighborhoods. I feel very relaxed here, and I feel like maybe because people here are so ambitious and there's so many people trying to make it, if you will, I feel very, I don't have to really do anything. I can kind of just blend in, and I like that. And I do feel inspired here. I wrote a lot of songs. I Was a Fool here, and I wrote Love They Say here, and I wrote I Couldn't Be Your Friend here as well. So, I was actually quite inspired to write here, which is kind of embarrassing because I live in an apartment where 5 billion other people live right around us, and I feel like my neighbors are all very well aware of what's already on the record because they've been listening to me sing and screech at the top of my lungs while I wrote it.
That was going to be my next question, is if you have a secret inspiration spot in LA, or is it your apartment?
Well, yeah, it's sort of like, I mean, I bought all of this foam from, like, Guitar Center or something like that, and, like, put foam all over the walls, and then laid blankets all over the floor, and, like, I would crawl under my desk and kind of, like, create, like, a little funny, like, faux sound booth so that I would tell myself that the neighbors could not hear me, but that's, I don't know if it's my inspiration spot or if it's just desperation spot. It's just, like, that's where I can practice, so.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Another good question here about the album. Did and this is from @TeacherManRI. Did the electronic dance work of Morgan Page and Tiesto influence any of your work that you pursued on Heartthrob?
Working with Tiesto and Morgan Page and David Guetta and all of the collaboration stuff we've been doing certainly has, I mean, it's definitely broadened our interest in working in those genres. And I don't know that we necessarily purposely went out to make like a dance record or even use dance inspiration or anything like that. But I mean, there was a fusion of what's happening in pop music and what's happening in certain bands like that or certain artists that we really have liked over the last few years, like Robin or Phoenix, like things that sort of had this endemic and like, I don't know, just like many different genres sort of blended together to form something sort of fusion-y,
Yeah.
Although I hate the word fusion. But I do feel like we didn't necessarily see this as an indie rock record, and working with those other artists I think has allowed us to sort of see ourselves as less specific to one genre and more as like songwriters and vocalists.
When we first started talking, you mentioned about on the day that the album came out, looking at iTunes, looking at the comments. Was there anything in relation to the type of record that it is? Was there anything that maybe a comment that a fan made that really made you look at the record differently, or look at any particular songs differently that you're surprised by?
What's so funny is we spent so much of our career feeling freaked out when people would try to classify us because nothing ever sort of fit. Like, nothing ever felt right. Like, for whatever reason, when we were younger, it was folk, which I always thought just was because we were girls. Because, like, guys with acoustic guitars never get called folk. They get called indie or pop or whatever. And then the indie rock thing kind of happened, and that sort of felt right, but then we were sort of like, oh, maybe we're more like indie pop. I don't know. So now, when I was reading through a lot of the comments when the record was coming out, it's all like, this is such a great dance record. And I'm like, now I'm like, my reflex is to be like, guys, this is not a dance record.
Right.
Like, what is happening? And so it's funny. I think we just don't like to be classified as anything.
That's what I was going to say. Is there a right answer to someone saying this is such a great rock?
You know what I like? You know what I like is when people say, I really love this record.
Period.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people
Every
say it's really
right.
reminding them of the 80s, or like it's really reminding them of this record or that record, or people have been saying that it really reminds them of certain films. And I honestly, I feel like I've cared a lot less about all this stuff. I just want people to like the music. I want people to become attached to the music in a way that I'm attached to music. And when someone writes, this sounds like a John Hughes film soundtrack, I'm like, great, that sounds awesome to me. When someone's like, this is an amazing dance record, I'm like, not a dance record, but that's awesome, that's so great, I'm glad you like it. So I think it's the only thing that really changed the way I thought about this record was that I had been saying that I thought that this was our most emotional and vulnerable and like intense. Like, I really felt like we put everything on the line. We simplified things so that we were being very specific about how we felt about things. And I feel like it's a really, really intense record, but it's got this pop sound. But then a few people had sort of reached out and said that they felt like maybe we'd oversimplified our message and that now it was coming off kind of cheesy. And the other night I had to do an acoustic version of one of the songs that has been accused of being cheesy, which is called Love They Say. And I dedicated the song to everyone in the audience. I was like, you know what? You guys are all so cool. None of you would ever dare be cheesy. Let me be cheesy for you.
Yeah.
Like, I wrote the song for you. Let me be cheesy, because I think love is cheesy. I think love, like, when you meet someone, like, have you ever listened to anyone talk about when they first meet someone and how in love they are? I mean, they're the most entitled, like, sucky, sweet, like, ridiculous, like, totally, like, stoned, like, their, like, pupils are dilated, like, they're, like, and that is cheesy and kind of ridiculous, and, like, why shouldn't we have a song that reflects that? So.
That's funny. That's perfect the way you said that music lets other people be cheesy.
Yeah.
Let
me do it for you guys. No worries.
Yeah.
I got you.
No, that's great. Let's look to the future. Taylor Lynch wants to know, where do you guys see yourself in the music industry in 5 years from now? Sounds like it's a job interview. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I'm just trying to think of how old we'll be in 5 years.
Young. You'll still be young.
I hope that we're still making records. You know, I mean, every time we sort of like end an album cycle, I'm always thinking to myself, like, was that it? Is that sort of the end of our career? And then I always think like maybe there'll be an end to our touring career, but maybe we'll continue to make music or records. And I just don't really honestly know. I'm still surprised that it still feels like each record is getting bigger, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think that's not always the norm in this business, and especially in the business as it is currently. Like, so we're just really grateful. So if there's in 5 years from now, I mean, that would potentially put us on track to be putting out our next record, which seems exhausting. So stop rushing us. We're that.
Is there any other interest that either of you have in terms of maybe producing or film or anything like that?
We both have like. I think we've both, you know, dabbled a bit in production, and we're both interested in other kind of areas of the music business and collaborating with people. And so I don't think that our career is limited to just this project, but this project is like, it's like raising a child full time. Like it allows for hobbies, but that's basically, you know, that's it. No other side careers, you know.
Yeah. Do you guys have a dream collaboration in mind?
You know, I've been getting this question a lot, and the other night it occurred to me that like we've never said who we want to collaborate with, and yet we have this insane list of collaborators that we work with.
This is the time to do it.
Well, this is the thing though, is that I realized that like we've had incredible luck. Like people keep reaching out to us to collaborate with us, and every single one has been so awesome and fun that I don't want to even jinx it and say who I want to collaborate with. Yeah. I just hope that really amazing, you know, people keep reaching out to us to ask us to work with them, whether it's just performing on their record or writing. You know, like on Tuesday, Lisa Loeb's new record came out, and Chad Gilbert from New Found Glory produced it, but I wrote 2 of the songs on the record, and like working with her was so amazing. Like I remember when Lisa Loeb came out, I mean, I was really young, and I just remember being so excited, and now it's like full circle. Like I was in the studio with her, collaborating with her, and she's so amazing. The record is really great, and so and that was like accidental that happened. So I wouldn't want to jinx it by trying to like plan what comes next.
Force it, yeah. To start knocking on other rock stars' doors.
Just good stuff just keeps coming.
Yeah. So album Heartthrob out now. You play tomorrow night at Club Nokia. Can't wait for that show.
Yeah.
And then what's the rest of the year? You guys are doing some festivals. You got a nationwide tour.
Exactly. Yeah. Like in the next, I guess, month or two, we'll just start rolling out over weeks, basically all the next tours and next territories and countries and festivals and shows, and
it's kind of like a ridiculous schedule. Next week we start announcing, and it's
gonna be
pretty insane.
We're really looking forward to it. The one thing I will say about the new record is that it's fitting so well into the show that we already do with all the other albums. It's like it feels very cohesive, and I don't know. I'm just really excited to get out and perform it.
Do you have certain cities in the States or maybe even internationally that you really look forward to going back to? I mean, obviously, New York and LA are very familiar to you. You're from Canada.
For sure.
But a lot of places in between.
I mean, we haven't done a proper Canadian tour in a while. And
we just announced a bunch of stuff in Australia, which is really exciting. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, the coolest part of touring, especially when you're a band like us, is that everywhere you show up to, people paid to come and see you play. So it's like you get to explore a new city, and then you get to go into this venue, and everyone sings along with you, and you just have this whole experience. So it kind of taints the city with this like amazingness.
Yeah.
So it's like I sometimes don't even know if we have context anymore. Like I don't know if I'm the judge of what a good city is, because I just associate cities with fan bases, and I just think our fan base is so awesome. So everywhere we go has been great.
Yeah.
You know, the other day I just got into like a 10-minute argument, not an argument, but a discussion with a writer, because she was saying how much she did not like the city Brisbane in Australia. And I was like, oh my God, I love it. It's so magical. It's so great in the beach. And she was just like, how are you? This place is terrible. And I'm like, no, we have such a great time when we go there. So I'm skewed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we have some more questions.
Some live questions, yeah.
Live questions.
Wild Bunny's asking, you guys write
up in the old set list, you know? So I think it's sweet because it sort of shows that we definitely sort of like have a wide spectrum of songs that we write, but they're definitely, I think Tegan and I are unified in the sense that most of the albums that we've made, I think 100% of the time we agree that we've selected the right material.
Sure.
But I think that's really cool. I mean, in this day and age, what's awesome is that you can put out those B-sides, you can release other songs, and I think at some point there are lots of songs from the last decade that should definitely be released at some point. So.
Do you have, like a ballpark figure, like could you put a number on the number of songs that you have completed that are in the can that would be ready for an album?
Well, I mean, in demo form.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we wrote 45 songs for this record and we released 12.
Yeah.
So,
probably
so for every record,
Every record times,
lots,
yeah.
lots of songs.
Yeah.
And not all of them are good, you know, but you know, with some love, they probably could.
Someone would like them.
Someone would like them. Yeah.
Another one, Ash?
What is Tegan's favorite karaoke song?
Why are there so many questions directed at me? I'm popular, I can't help it.
Sorry.
What is happening here?
Because I'm connected to the people.
It says we already know about Sara and Bon Jovi.
Oh, there you go.
Sarah, sorry.
Sarah,
You want a prayer? What's the track?
I apologize. Sarah is definitely does a lot of Bon Jovi, and she gets really into it when we do karaoke. I'm a little more shy and tentative to do karaoke, but I have done Ace of Base in the past, Cyndi Lauper. I'm not good at it. I'm a bit tone deaf, so I just feel like I get up there and you always pick the song you think that you're going to do a really great job of, and then you realize you really don't even know the chorus. So it's like 45 seconds of awkwardness, then the chorus, and everyone gets excited, and it's just awkwardness, and then the chorus again, and then it's just that weird bridge that nobody knows, and so, I don't know, karaoke's weird.
Love it.
Yeah, but Sarah, Bon Jovi.
Another one?
Marissa wants to know what your family did to encourage you both when you were first starting out.
Good question.
I mean, our family, probably like most parents and relatives and friends around people who think they're good at something that they're not totally good at yet, you know, any even small glimpse or sign that they're good at it gets encouraged, you know, like I don't think that we were naturally necessarily gifted or anything like that. We just started making songs and I think it just seemed really cool to our parents, and there was the usual like, how did you write a song? Like, where did that come from? And then that sort of just led to, like, every time we would write new songs, then they would show interest in, like, where it was progressing. And
I think our family just liked us to have structure.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in piano lessons, and we were not pushed to do piano lessons.
Because we weren't that good.
We weren't that good, but at the same time, like, I remember when we were probably, like, 11 or something, or 12, we switched piano teachers, and my piano teacher told my mom that we were actually really good, that, you know, like, that, you know, technically we weren't, like, we had not studied properly, but that there was a natural gift for music in us. And I remember, like, for, like, maybe a month afterwards, after dinner, my mom would be like, go and practice, remember what your piano teacher said, you're gifted at music, or something, like, you know, something along those lines. So they tried to encourage us, but we were lazy teenagers. Like, we did not like to practice. We didn't like to put too much time into anything, and I think our family just wanted us to have things to do.
We could have had way worse,
you know,
worse hobbies. Like, we could have been like those kids that were like really into making like homemade bongs or something. Like, the fact that we were just writing songs in the bedroom, like they were like, that's fine, just stay in there.
Structured time, just you know. But I will say that our parents were extremely loving, and they cared about us, and they constantly reinforced that they thought we were really unique and cool, which is where a lot of my trauma comes from, is that on the eve of traumatizing events where I knew I was not going to be liked or popular, or I was going to be outcast, or I was going to be the only person there, especially when I had to do events without Sarah, my mom would reassure me that I was cool and likable and funny and people would like me, and I would just be like, go to bed, and on top of the like incredible, like, you know, like debilitating insecurity that I felt, I would also feel pressure and stress about letting my mother down, because I was like, I'm actually not that cool.
I wonder if she finds out.
Yeah, I'm not cool. Really not that likable. Like, I'm not really that funny when I'm stressed out. Kind of a geek, you know. But my mom was so cool. You know, she was so current and so hip, and she dressed so well, and she was so smart and funny, and she'd like gone back to university and was just like really, really like in touch with our friends. And Sarah and I, for a lot of our lives, were not cool. Like, you know, but we were
impossible.
But we were like, we were kind of like weird, and we were like, you know, weird and awkward. And my mom just encouraged us anyway. She just thought we were so cool, and always was just like, you're so cool, you're so awesome, you're so great. And I think she made us be that in the end.
That failure was probably for the best in a lot of those cases, because there was so much encouragement that I don't know that we would have learned humility if we hadn't learned that. You know, like if my parents were there to prop us back up, but then there was sort of the drop every once in a while, and you know, like that I think that creates a balanced and sort of humbled person, you know, in the end. Sure.
Yeah, and from an outside perspective, I think there's something inherently cool that people think about twins,
right?
Unless they're evil.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, for the most part,
twins are weird though.
They are weird. No, twins are generally weird because they're probably a little bit intrigued by what they have. But for the masses, it's like, wow, that's really cool.
We're not intrigued by what we have, and I think
you're neat.
We never did the wolf twin thing, and I think we were actually.
Well, we were embarrassed by being singled out.
A lot of times we would just introduce ourselves as sisters. Like, we never...
Yeah.
We didn't lean too heavy on that the twin thing. We also didn't have other siblings, and so really in the context of, you know, our family structure, we were sisters, and we didn't really emphasize the twin thing. And I think, but I do think that naturally allowed us to introduce ourselves into new social dynamics. You know, people came to us, and thank God, because I think if people hadn't initiated those conversations or initiated that interest, we were really shy, and we probably would have ended up being a lot weirder.
And making bongs in your bedroom.
That's probably true. We probably would have been far more socially inept, and instead, you know, this was sort of like this natural conversation. And in a way, that's what's sort of turned. That's how what our career is. You know, I mean, we're still sort of like those same kids, but this is a way for us to like socially interact in a really controlled way with people, because, you know, the conversation is sort of, you know, we're putting ourselves out, but it's really that people are drawn into us that makes us feel comfortable.
I also just want to say to all the twins watching that although we're exhibiting a bit of twin shame, we don't think that you should be ashamed of who you are.
I'm not ashamed to be a twin. I'm not ashamed to be a twin.
Let's get one more from our viewing audience, Ashley.
Mallory Banton wants to know what the weirdest thing that's on your tour rider.
Ooh, good question.
The weirdest thing on our tour rider. I mean, I've seen some weird stuff on people's tour riders. Ours is pretty reasonable, I think.
It's kind of boring, actually.
It is kind of boring.
Did you guys take off the unicorn? I know you had a unicorn.
We put the unicorn on there to sort of see if anyone's paying attention. But you know, there's not really anything that weird. Like, I know we were just on tour with the Killers, and they had a really cool rider. And Ronnie, the drummer for the Killers, told us he gets underwear on the rider because he just likes to throw it away, like because he sweats a lot when he plays.
I was like going to be all sorts of people digging through like dumpster.
That's fine. I'm sure Ronnie would be fine with that.
Dumpster diving.
But I thought to myself when he told me that, I was like, I wish we had something weird and cool on the rider like that. Like, you hear all these rumors about, you know, big artists who have like a puppy room backstage, you know, so they can play with puppies, or like, you know, like the Eminem story and all those things. But we put like pop chips on the rider. Like, we're just like, what? There's no pop chips in this city? Like, there's nothing really weird. We're weird enough. We don't put anything.
Well, speaking of the tour rider, and the tour coming up nationwide tomorrow night at Club Nokia, album Heartthrob in stores now. You guys go pick that up. Tegan and Sara, it's always a pleasure. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for the great questions.